Official report of the Battle of Vancouver, 21st of September, 2015. Headquarters, 37th Regiment, ECS, Volunteers. General Makos, in making my official report of the part borne by my regiment in the battle near Robson Street on the 19th of September. I was ordered to the field, and when I was about 1 mile distant, I had to pass by a Tim Hortons, which embarrassed the advance of my men greatly. They were hindered by it, being nothing but a morally destitute and yet delicious place, and the men had to advance in single file, which stretched the Emerald City Supporters Brigade out over a long line. They were also much annoyed on the march by the heckling from one of the enemy fans upon entering the field. The enemy soldier was clad in denim fatigues as is standard for their forces. When I reached the line of battle at the head of my regiment, Corporal Biro informed me that the enemy were endeavoring to launch TIFO by passing over a painted fabric, and that the 31st Seattle Volunteers were there to prevent the flank movement. He ordered me to support the 31st by giving the finger to our enemies and turning my back. I at once did my duty, but without knowing the position of either the 31st nor the enemy, for they were not at that time singing, and I am seldom sober. It is possible that I inflicted friendly casualties from the blind finger wagging. On halting to put my men in line, I found that I had with me only my one front capo. In pushing forward with the singing, our 2 companies of ECS volunteers got ahead of the others, and ours with the first capo was there in full voice. As soon as the 2 companies were formed, she ordered them to give a shout of "Come on, Seattle," which they did with a hearty goodwill, and the boys on the field charged down the hill directly at the enemy. When we got within 10 or 20 yards of him, the Canadian broke and fled. We instantly opened fire upon them as they ran. They did not stop running till they got entirely out of our end of the field. When the remainder of the team reached the line of battle, they joined in the fight, but after 45 minutes, Major Ivanschitz brought a goal to us, not knowing that we might be hard-pressed to sing any louder. Try as we might to celebrate with full vigor, we realized we needed assistance to bolster our reserve, so more cups of beer were needing to be refilled. After doing this, we marched back to the main fight in the field. When I got on our line, it was nearly the start of the second half, and we could only see the outline of the enemy on the field below us, because somehow it is really dark in BC Place, underneath that overhanging second level, and no one can see anything half the time. When that remaining light soon disappeared, we could only direct our fire by the flash of the enemy's futile step-overs. In addition, the men were disheartened by the lids that the wily Canadians placed upon their beer. It was a dark and confusing time for all of us. When Sergeant Pineda fired a cannon shot through their defenses, the battle was nearly over. He saluted those of us who cheered his shot by displaying his admiration for the colors, which brought some of us to tears at his passion for our regiment. Another cannon fire by Major Dempsey brought the battle to a close. The fight was kept up till 6:30 at night when the enemy withdrew, leaving us in its full possession of the field, 3 points, and many trophies that we took from them. During the fight, many of my men were out of beer, but I had them moved to supply themselves from the cups of the drunk and disorderly. We celebrated the death of our enemy with much drinking, much celebration, and the remainder of the jello shots on the Oba bus that were strewn about. We were free of the dreaded mediocrity and soul-sucking ooze of our flirtation with being the 11th best regiment in the nation, and could now begin to think not just about the battle, but winning the war, even with our limited skirmish schedule remaining. I have to report the loss of some good officers and brave men. Captain Terry, a gallant man and model officer, was severely drunk. Lieutenant Wilhelm, May, Dye, and Fletcher were made scarce to a Canadian discotheque where they took Adderall and danced until 4 in the morning. These lieutenants were young officers, but they nobly did their duty. All of my officers and men who went upon the field acted in the most gallant manner, and it would be unjust to discriminate by name, except in the case of the wounded. The loss of my regiment is 39 drunk and disorderly. I cannot close this report without saying that my chaplain, the Reverend A.B. Carrington, deserves the highest praise for his conduct before, during, and since the fight. He was struck by a spent ball, and although it made him very sick for a while, he was and continued to be unremitting in his attention to the drunk. He eased the men's pain by singing to them as they tried to gain consciousness. Roll on, Columbia, roll on. Roll on, Columbia, roll on. Your power is turning the darkness to dawn. So roll on, Columbia, roll on. I will provide further information during our debrief at fuel. Respectfully, Samuel V. Fulkerson, Colonel of the 37th Emerald City Supporters Volunteers.